Hey everybody, today we are going to be working on a nice little contemporary mat flow. A lot of this will be very familiar to you. There might be some exercises that don't work well for your body, and so I'll always offer some choices when we get to exercises like that. But for those of you who know these exercises well, when I cue to get started, go for it, and then we'll catch up with you after I give those modifications. I know some of you like to just keep moving, and that's totally fine. So let's get started lying back on our mats and getting ready for some pelvic tilts and bridging. Okay, so lying back, let's just get ourselves settled. Might have to wiggle around a little bit. Walk the heels towards the sits bones, broaden the collar, and lengthen the arms down the sides of the body. Try to feel the big toe, little toe, and heel of each foot connecting deeply into the mat so that you're creating an anchor there. And on our inhale breath, let's just work on transitioning into some of that intercostal Pilates breath. So you can take a moment to put your hands on your rib cage, and as you inhale, you want to feel some space between the fingertips, like you're broadening your footprint on the mat. And as you exhale, you want to feel the way that the ribs gently float towards one another, and you're lifting up through both the pelvic floor and the navel, right? So you feel that abdominal connection, that deepening to the midline. Inhale. As we expand, we feel some posterior breath work going on, so trying to come into the back of the ribs a little bit. And then as we exhale, wrapping center. Feeling everything soften down as if you could exhale into the floor. Let's lengthen the arms back down the side body and add a little pelvic tilt to this. So we inhale, feel the expansion, feel the space between the ribs, and as we exhale, let's contract the abdominals and imprint the lumbar spine so we feel a scooping sensation in the belly. Inhale to lengthen back to neutral. Exhale to rock the lumbar into that pelvic tilt. And we really want to bring this from the abdominals and less from the pressure of the feet into the floor. Sometimes our body finds a workaround so that we aren't quite connecting in the right spot. So I really want you to feel yourself working from your center. Inhale to lengthen. And exhale. This is our last little tilt, creating a little stretch in our lumbar spine. Let's lengthen back out to our neutral and prepare for our first bridge. So connecting into the feet, firming the triceps and palms to the mat. And here we go. Exhale, let's imprint the lumbar and let's continue to roll through the back now. So we start to lift middle back, upper back. We feel length from shoulders through the tips of the knees. And then as we exhale, we start to articulate down through the spine, one notch at a time, even through those sticky places that you might feel in the curve of your lower back. Really try to work through it. Lengthening out to neutral, breathing in. And again, exhale, we roll ourselves right back up into a bridge, feeling balance from the front and the back side of the body. So as you come to the top of the bridge, make sure that you're not overarching or over tucking. Want to be somewhere in between. Feel lots of length. Maybe the sense of creating a straight line from the shoulders to the knees. Inhale, we lengthen out, and exhale, we go again. Scoop and lift. Feeling your collarbones nice and wide and open. Feeling those triceps engage as you lift and lower. Noticing how this translates into your foot connection. We want to feel both the inner and outer edges of the feet pressing into the mat. Inhale for pause. On the next one, we're going to hold our lift at the top and just let everything get a little bit warm. So here we are, hanging out, squeezing the glutes, tightening the abdominals, firmly pressing the feet, the palms of the hands, the triceps. Maybe you can lift just a touch higher and reach your spine just a little bit longer. One more breath, and then let's roll the spine down. Scoop, scoop, scoop. Working through that lower back, settling the pelvis to the mat and floating the right leg now to tabletop position. So working into a single leg toe tap, we've got a nice 90-degree bend from both the hip and the knee. We feel the femur bone push away and pull back. And I want you to focus on how the abdominals can control this movement, the way that they can pull the leg back to you and lower it down with control. So you're working against gravity here. Exhale to draw back. Feeling the way that that connects even a little bit into the right oblique. Inhale, tap. Exhale, lift. Try to visualize the leg as nice and light, floating down and up so we don't get caught up in our hip flexors and quads here. Let's work a little bit deeper into our center. Doing a couple more now. Inhale, tap. Exhale, lift, just softly pointed through the toes. Inhale, tap. Exhale, lift. Holding that neutral line in the spine, avoiding the tuck of the pelvis. Now exhale, let's float the left leg up. Soft pointed toe. Inhale, down we go. Tap. Exhale, we draw it back. Inhale to tap. Exhale, drawing back. Releasing tension in places where you don't need it, so it's good to kind of scan the body. Notice if you're building up any tension in neck, shoulders, jaw. Let it go. Inhale, float the leg. Exhale, draw it back with the strength of your tummy. Inhale, tap. We're going to be working into an alternating pattern next, and that can be done with one foot always anchored to the floor, alternating your leg lift, or you can challenge yourself a little deeper by floating both of those legs up to tabletop position and alternating your toe taps. This one's going to be a little bit more work in holding that neutral line in your spine. So make sure that you continue to draw the navel both in and up and keep those ribs nicely closed. Continue to envision that you're floating the legs. Inhale, tap, exhale back. Let's do a couple more. We're going to roll this right into our supine twist. So on this one, squeeze the knees and feet together, holding your tabletop, and extend the arms out nice and wide with the palms open. On the inhale breath, swaying both knees to the right, we feel this rotation coming from the waistline, letting the left hip pick slightly up off the mat. Exhale to cinch the waist and come back to center. Driving this movement from your waistline, inhale to the left, exhaling back to center. And if you'd like to advance this a little bit, you can add that leg extension that we often do here in the studio. Reaching, exhaling to come back to center. Inhale to bend those knees, and over to the left we go. Inhale to extend, exhale, coming back to center, always bending the knees before the next repetition. And if you need to make this a little bit easier on your body today, you can work from feet on the floor. So you would simply place your feet down and continue to work that waistline twist. Okay, let's do a couple more wherever you are today. Coming over, option to extend, exhale, center, and bend. And inhale over, extend, exhale, centering, and let's bend those knees, placing the feet flat on the mat and moving into our chest lift. We'll interlace the hands behind the head. And think about elbows slightly in your peripheral. Feet are about sits bones distance apart. Exhale breath is going to curl us up to the base of the shoulder blades. Our head is heavy in the hands, and we're taking an inhale breath to lay the head back down. I'm going to make this just a 2-breath movement. Exhale on the lift. Trying not to tuck the pelvis. Let's just work on lifting the chest, moving from the strength of the abdominals without tilting the pelvis. We curl forwards, looking slightly down towards our inner thighs, making sure not to wrap the hands around the head here. Elbows are just in that peripheral, we can barely see them. Head is heavy. Exhale to curl. Feeling the closing of the abdominal wall. Just a split second before we actually move, we're already exhaling so that we already feel connected in the belly. Do 2 more. Exhale and inhale. We're going to roll this into our chest lift with rotation. So as we lift, let's hold. Take the right hand, reach it past your left thigh. So you're going to feel the way that you're moving from your waist rotators, coming back to center, reinterlace, left hand reaches past the right thigh. and reinterlace. Now for those who know this exercise really well, you can keep both of your hands interlaced behind the head and work that rotation. Really anchor the sacrum to the mat here so that you don't feel like you're twisting in the hips. Very still, heavy through the lower half, moving through the upper half, supporting the neck, opting to reach with the arms if you need a little bit of feedback. Exhale. Let's go one more to each side. This is a great one to warm up the abdominals. Good. And then coming back to center and rolling the spine down to the mat. We're going to bring this right into our hundreds now. Options are feet to the mat or bringing legs up to tabletop. If you'd like to leave your spine in neutral, you'll ignore my cue to curl forward. So arms are going to inhale and reach back, palms open. Exhale breath gives you that option to curl forwards as you bring your hands down along the side body. And lastly, you might decide to extend your legs here. And let's breathe together. We inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3. Last set. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4. Let's roll back, hugging those knees into the chest. And then we're going to move into roll up. So remember, if you know the roll up and it works well for your body, go ahead and get started. And for those who need a modification, you're going to follow me once I get up onto the mat into a seated position. So we'll peel the spine forwards. Good. And continue on if you can. Otherwise, let's go ahead and bend the knees and play with a couple different options. It could be a hinging of the spine back, fairly straight, or you could work into a half roll back with a scoop. You might decide to keep the knees bent and move all the way down and all the way up. So you're going to choose your own adventure here with your roll up, making it as big or as small as it needs to be. I'm going to scoop back a little bit here, scoop the belly round forward, soften those shoulders, and here we go. I'm going to work into my full roll up now. As I extend the arms overhead, I'm careful not to flare the ribs, gentle nod of the chin, squeeze of the glutes, nice soft shoulders, and rolling back. Remember that your head is an extension of your spine. So you want that position to be in a continuous curve, gently knotted and long through the back of the neck. Rolling back, one vertebra at a time, nice and slow. Don't rush this exercise. Inhale and exhale. Squeeze of the glutes can really help you. Squeeze of the inner thighs can also help. Lots of abdominals here. One more. Let's roll it up. Whatever degree you can. And let's pause for a little forwards fold now. Taking some breaths here. And then we are going to be rolling ourselves back down to the mat to prepare for our single leg circles. So down we go. And from here, let's draw that right knee into the chest. Extend the leg up to the ceiling, grabbing onto the back of the thigh. We'll flex and point the foot a couple of times here. Maybe work on spreading your toes apart. And now let's circle the ankle a few times in each direction, just loosening up through the feet and ankle joints. Good. Okay, let's relax the foot and let those arms fan out nice and wide, palms open. Crossing over the midline, let's circle down and around. This exercise can be modified to a tabletop leg if you need to, or just a soft bend in the knee. Those who know it well, you make that circle as big as you feel comfortable without disturbing the stability of the pelvis. So that's one big key on this exercise, is holding that pelvis nice and still, as if you had a seatbelt strapped low and tight across your hip bones. Getting a nice glide in the hip socket, and let's reverse the flow. Out and around, cross the midline and come up. Nice steady breath here. And make sure that you're not holding your breath as you work. Let's go for a couple more. And then hugging that knee back into the chest. And let's opt to go into a crossover stretch if we can. So we're gonna pull that leg across the midline, and you'll look and reach in the opposite direction. So we feel a nice big twist through our center. It's a great stretch for the hip, glute, and lower back. And then let's come back to switch sides. Right leg anchors to the mat, left leg pulls in. Let's extend that left leg up to the ceiling, grabbing onto the back of the thigh, flex and point. Circle the ankle a few times in each direction. Spread the toes apart. All right, relaxing through the face, neck, and chest. Arms are wide. We'll cross our midline, circle down and around, focusing on the stability of your pelvis and spine. Good. And 4. Making the circles as big or small as they need to be, with the option to bend the knee as needed. Let's reverse it. Two more. Easy breath here. All right. And then hugging that knee into the chest, and we're gonna work to take it across the midline, looking and reaching now to your left. And that nice twist through your center, stretching through the glute, hip, and lower back. And we're gonna hug both of the knees into the chest now for rolling like a ball. Again, this is one where we might need some modifications. So getting up to a seated position is a good place to start. We can rock and roll a few times to get there. And then those who know the exercise well, go ahead and get started. For those who need a modification, I'm gonna give you a very tiny movement. You're gonna reach your arms. You're gonna rock back off the sits bones, just enough to bring your feet off the floor and really feel the depth of connection through your lower abdominals, and then come right back to where you started. Okay, this can even be done with a lesser degree of knee flexion if needed. So we're here, and then we come right back. Otherwise, we're gonna really pull everything in nice and tight. Scoop the belly, not the chin, so the spine is curved like the letter C, and we inhale back, exhale forwards. Trying to keep the sits bones nice and close to the heels, or vice versa here. Keeping your spine in the shape of a little ball. Inhale back, exhale forwards, trying to balance, not touching those feet back to the mat between repetitions. Let's go for a couple more. And last one. Inhale and exhale. Good. Feet can touch down. Roll the shoulders and shake out any tension that might have built up there. And we're gonna move ourselves back to the mat for our double leg stretch, our single leg stretch, and our crisscross exercises. These can be done in a neutral position of the spine. Head, neck, and chest can remain down, or you can opt to curl forwards. We're gonna start with our double leg stretch. So hands are gonna reach towards our knees, and exhale breath will bring us up into that thoracic flexion, just to the base of the shoulder blades. Inhale breath, arms reach back, legs reach forward, circle the arms around to draw back to center. Let's work on keeping our spine very stable, our trunk very stable. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, coming back to center. Remember that you can always touch the head, neck, and chest down to the mat and just move through the arms and legs. Let's go for 3 more. Inhale and exhale. And 2, exhale. And last one. Okay, down we go. Drawing knees in briefly, stacking both hands over the right kneecap. Left leg will extend to the diagonal, and then we'll switch. Okay, so this is where you're gonna stay if you need to keep your head, neck, and chest in a very comfortable position that isn't working against gravity. Otherwise, you again have that option to curl forwards. Make sure that you're not dropping your ankles here. Almost feel the way that they just pass one another in space. exhale. Now you can stay with your single leg stretch, or you can turn this into your crisscross by interlacing the hands behind the head and using that exhale breath to move across your midline. Feeling the rotation, very similar to our chest lift with rotation, but now we've got that added challenge of moving through the lower half as well. Let's go for one more on each side, and then down we go. Knees hug in briefly. Let's rock from side to side to release tension from the lower back, and we're going to work into our shoulder bridge or shoulder bridge prep. So arms connecting back to the mat. We're going to be moving into bridge. With our exhale, imprint the lumbar spine, and let's start to roll those hips back up off the mat. For those who know shoulder bridge, feel free to extend the leg and get going. And for those who need some instruction, let's take that right leg up to tabletop. Inhale, breath, we tap. Exhale, breath, we lift. Very similar to our single leg toe taps, but now we're holding a single leg bridge as well. Makes it much more challenging. And we can even graduate to that extended leg. Inhale, exhale. Let's try to work somewhere between 5 and 10 repetitions before we roll that spine down. Good stuff. Let's place that right foot on the floor. We're going to roll down and just kind of reset our bridge, taking an inhale for pause, and then exhaling to roll it back up. Let's float that left leg to tabletop. You've got the option to work the prep, tap and lift, or move yourself right into shoulder bridge, softly pointed toe. We inhale to lengthen, flex the foot, exhale, pull it back. Again, somewhere between 5 and 10 repetitions. Real nice firm press of that right foot into the floor. One more here. Good, and let's place that foot down onto the mat and we roll the spine down. So rollover is another one of those exercises that just doesn't work for everybody. And so if you need a substitution or even just a prep exercise, here's a great one. You can work in a tabletop position, and you're just going to work that exhale to create a little lift of the tail away from the mat. So it's essentially a pelvic tilt, and it's also just a great way to warm yourself into roll up. So let's all do it. And then controlling the roll down, okay? So stay here or join me for this little inversion, okay? So we're gonna start in our tabletop position. Extend the legs out to about 45 degrees. Fold to 90. Here's where I wanna make sure you're looking straight up at the ceiling and not at me, okay? So you might have to watch one and then join in. Let's press firmly through the arms. We come up and over. Notice I'm not collapsing the weight of my lower half over my upper half. I'm holding space there. I'm strong through the lower back extensors and the abdominals. Big circle to bring the legs back together. We fold to 90. Here we go. Deep scoop of the belly. Up and over we go. Flex the feet, separate them slightly, and roll it down really nice and slow. Lots of control here. Let's go for one or two more. Big circle, toes point. Pull it together, exhale, up and over. Flex, separate, and rolling that spine all the way down. Keep the width that you have going right now. Place the feet wide onto your mat. Let the arms relax, and let's just drop both of the knees to the right and let everything open up a little bit here. Relax the arms, the shoulders. Let's bring the legs over to the other side. Good stuff. Let's come back to center, and we're going to bring ourselves up to seated. I'm going to do that by rocking myself forwards, and we're going to prepare for our spine stretch. So we want to be seated really nice and upright on our sits bones now. Feet are gonna be about mat width apart and flexed. And I really want you to breathe your rib cage up off of your hips, right? So you're creating lots of space here. Arms are reaching forwards, palms facing inwards, about shoulder distance apart. And we're gonna nod that chin as we articulate down, one vertebra at a time, really hollowing out the abdominals here so we feel stretch through the back line. And then let's roll it back up and soften shoulders. As if we could just grow a little bit taller every time, nodding that chin, hollowing it out. Take your breath and roll it back up, soften shoulders. Again, here we go, rolling it forwards as if you were rounding over a beach ball in your lap, really pulling the navel out through the back. Inhale and roll it up. We're gonna find some back extension on the next one. So we're rounding forwards, and then it's almost like you have a little string on your heart. You're gonna pull your heart through so you feel this diagonal position of the spine. Float the arms up, and on the exhale breath, we pulse the arms back, working those upper back extensors. And 3, 4, 5, let's go for 3 more, 6, 7, and 8, rounding forwards and rolling our spines back up. Moving right into saw, I want you to open wide, and on the inhale, we're gonna rotate. On the exhale, drop the back thumb down, internally rotating the shoulder, and saw opposite pinky finger to pinky toe. You can even add a little pulse, and come back up. And arms wide as we move through center. Inhale, exhale, cross the midline, pulse, feel that beautiful stretch down the right side of the body, coming back up and centering. Inhale, exhale, reach, come back up. Let's make sure to root both of the sits bones down into the mat like they're glued in place. Pulse, come back up. One more to each side. Inhale, exhale, pulse, coming back up and center. Last one to the left, rotate and reach. Pulse, come back up and centering, arms come down, shoulders roll, and we're gonna move into a little bit of teaser prep. So with teaser prep, we ideally are gonna be holding a bit of a tabletop position like this. If that doesn't feel okay on your body, keep the feet to the mat and just come back into this little tip back and forth. So you're hinging your spine rather than rounding your back. Otherwise, let's bring those legs back up into that tabletop position. When we're here, I don't want you to collapse. I want you to pull up through your middle back extensors, lift your heart, reach your arms forwards, take a little tip back and bring it up again. Little tip back, exhale. Let's inhale, breathe yourself back up. Exhale and inhale, reaching through that heart space. Tip and lift. It's going to be a touch of flexion as we come back. We're trying to leave our legs there as if we could balance a little glass of water right on our shins. As we come up, let's see if we can extend those legs. Stretch, arms are reaching. And then the feet come down, and we'll take a moment to stretch the hips, just pressing into a butterfly stretch here. Rounding forwards, nose towards the toes. And we are going to prepare for some side lying work. So coming down onto your right side, moving into your double leg lift. Let's come down, bicep as your pillow if possible. You can modify to reach the arm forwards and place a little throw pillow under your head if needed. Let's feel both sides of our waist engaged, so nice and long, even through the underside. Stacked through the hips. Arm can reach or kickstand to the floor, squeeze the inner thighs, and let's lift both legs up off the mat. Inhale, lower to hover. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Feeling connected through the oblique on the left side of the body here. It's lifting the weight of the legs. Try not to bend the knees. Keep reaching everything as long as you can. Exhale. Inhale, couple more, lift and lower, lift. Now hold that hover, top leg lifts and lowers, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 more, 7 and 8. And let's lower it down. Bend both of your knees, extend your arms out in front of you, palm to palm, chest opener. We'll have to arrange that bottom shoulder as best you can here. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, coming back to center. Inhale, open. Exhale, back. Let's go for one more. These always feel good. Inhale. And exhale. Now let's pop up onto our forearm and create some space through our underside. So we want to avoid this feeling of collapse through the bottom ribs and engage from the underarm all the way down to the oblique and extend that top leg at about hip height. Okay, we're going to kick forwards and back now. So we exhale, inhale with that kick, exhale, inhale. And you can graduate this to balancing on the tip of your elbow. So either keep going with this one or go ahead and bring yourself into just a little bit more challenging position. And the idea is that we can keep the spine very stable, avoiding a sense of rocking forwards and back. Keep that underside engaged. So we want to really pull up through the oblique, through the underarm connection. Let's go for a few more. Inhale, last one. All right, bending those knees in and pushing ourselves up. Let's move to the opposite side. So coming down into your double leg lift first, lying on your left side, lengthening both sides of your waist, squeezing inner thighs, pointing toes, exhale to lift, inhale to lower, option to hover that top arm as well. So you're reaching, challenging your balance. Exhale. The idea here is that it's a lifting and lengthening at the same time. It's almost like you're reaching your body so long that it just lifts up off the floor. Draw that navel up and in. Let's hold on the next one and lift and lower just that top leg. 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, and down we go. Bending both knees, extending the arms out in front of you, palm to palm. Inhale, breath, we open the chest. Exhale, breath, coming back to center. Inhale to open, breathe wide. Exhale, back, last one. Inhale. And exhale. And then we're going to pop up onto that forearm. Let's take a moment just to lift up through the underside from oblique to underarm. Let's extend the top leg. Exhale to kick, inhale to extend. So we're moving into flexion of the hip, extension of the hip. Avoid the sensation of rocking. Option to make this just a touch more challenging by coming up onto that elbow point. Gotta get myself in the right spot here. Flex and point. Couple more here. Inhale. All right. And then we're going to move into our prone exercises. So coming into some back extension. Let's see if I can just move my mat a touch here. Get myself in the right spot for you all. Alrighty. Coming down onto your tummy and moving into some basic back extension first. Arms are down along your side body. Make sure that you're not resting your arms on the floor. I want them to come up about an inch. Lengthen the back of the neck. Feel the engagement from the underside. So make sure that you're lifting the abdominal wall away from the mat to support your lower back. And let's elevate the heart as we reach our fingertips down the sides of the thighs. And inhale, breath to come back. Just to hover the tip of the nose away from the mat. Now, this can be taught with an inhale to lift or an exhale to lift. They both feel good. See which one is your favorite. Inhale breath creates for me more of a sensation of length as I lift, almost like I'm reaching my body right out the window in front of me. Whereas an exhale tends to give me a little bit more connection through my abdominal wall in that lift. A little bit more support. Let's go for one more. And then moving into double leg kick, go ahead and get started if you know it well. And if you need some coaching, I'm going to give you first a modification. So we can bring the arms to box out in front of us and let the forehead rest as we work 3 kicks of the sits bones, or the heels towards the sits bones. So we curl the hamstrings and it's nice and sharp and concise. We kick, 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 extend the legs, try to hover the knees off the mat, press into the mat and lift your chest. So the arms are anchored and supporting you. And then you come down 3 kicks, 1, 2, 3, and we lift. And then we can take this deeper by interlacing the hands behind the back, turning the cheek to one side. 3 kicks, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, center your gaze, reach the arms back. Fingers are still interlaced. Knees and thighs are hovering off the mat. Lower down, turn the cheek. 3 kicks, 1, 2, 3. Extend. And turning. Kick, kick, kick. There's our exhale breaths. Inhale to extend. And we exhale, 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 and inhale. Hold this here. Separate the hands, or if you're boxed out on the floor, reach your hands out in front of you. So here we are, like Superman. We're going to start our swim now. Alternating right arm, left leg, left arm, right leg. Keep going in your swim if this is working well for you. Modify by placing everything on the floor and then a little slower, lifting, always anchoring one side. Okay, so one set of limbs always stays down. This is going to give you a little less tension running up the back line. We're all engaged through the belly now. Here we go, just a little bit longer. The swim is always a hard one. And everything comes down. Let's push ourselves up onto our hands and knees and take a child's pose. So let's tuck the pelvis and sit the hips back over the heels, stretching the lower spine. Let the head rest easy. And then pressing yourself up onto your hands and knees, working into our cat stretch. So with our exhale, we're gonna scoop the belly. So we're thinking pubic bone to nose, really. You're looking towards your thighs. Inhale breath, lift the heart and allow that lower back to drop. Exhale, curling into it, contracting the abdominals to change the shape of your spine into a C curve. Inhale, we allow the lower spine to sway, stretching the belly, extending the upper back. Exhale, we round. And inhale. One more time here. Exhale, round. And inhale, extend. All right. Now we're going to come up into a front support position. So extending the left leg, flexing the toes into the mat, and then bringing that right leg out to join it. So if a plank works well for your body, you're going to stay here. This could be modified to knees to the floor, ankles crossed, heels sort of reaching towards the sits bones. Otherwise, come back up into that plank with me. Let's stay here. Some of you might just need to hold the plank, while others can just create a little bit of a deeper challenge by drawing into that leg pull. Little contraction of the abdominals draws the knee towards the chest. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Alternating sides. Exhale, inhale, good. Shoulders away from ears. Nice space between the scapula here. Don't let them pinch and collapse. Keep drawing the abdominal wall up away from the floor. One more to each side. And then knees come back down. Let's sit the hips back over the heels. And then we're gonna come up to sit in a mermaid position. If mermaid position doesn't feel good for you, and that's where we have the legs and kind of, this looks like a Z position, you could modify this to just a cross-legged. And we're gonna go ahead and just take a nice stretch, bringing the elbow to the floor and lengthening that top arm, feeling that stretch from the waist through the armpit into the tricep, breathing into it. Good. And then coming up, let's take a diagonal mermaid stretch. So we're gonna kind of track right over that front knee point and just walk the hands out in front of you and rest the back of the neck, let the head hang heavy. This is actually a nice stretch to my hip. Walk yourself back up and let's take a counter stretch, reaching the opposite direction. All right, switching our mermaid sit. Going to the other side. Or sticking with a cross-legged position, let's take those arms up and let's come over. Elbow to the floor, really open up that rib cage and actively reach. Let's come back and take that diagonal mermaid, so tracking right over that front knee point, walk the hands out. And then our counter stretch, up and over. All right, and that is that. Good job for being here. I know we all have good days and bad days, good weeks and bad weeks when it comes to how we're feeling or how much exercise we're getting in, but it's always okay to take a moment for yourself, and then you can hit the reset button and join us again, okay? So everybody hang in there, and we hope to see you sooner than later.